Hello, and welcome to Punch Fear in the Face. I'm Shanon, and I ain't even scared. Today, I have with me my good friend Justin Foutz, and he ain't even scared either.
No, not scared.
Right. Okay, so that's why I've asked him to be here today. So let's just backtrack. So punch fear in the face. Why fear? Because I feel there's so much fear on the planet right now. I feel like fear blocks us from flow. It blocks us from living our best life and our dreams. And my friend Justin here, first of all, let's just say, so Justin is a little younger than me, well, a lot younger than me.
40, going to be 49 this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to be 59. So we're exactly 10 years apart. But Justin and I are good buddies, and I'll tell you why. Because if I was a 49-year-old dude, I'd be Justin. Right?
Yeah.
Right. And if you were a 59-year-old woman, you might be me.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about that.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Right. We have a lot in common. And so, what I'm fascinated about, so I've talked about my history. My fearlessness came from a place of being really angry, really pissed off. And I was talking to Justin the other day, and I realized that I think our fearlessness comes from a very similar place, not from a place of feeling worthy and that God has our back, but more like, fuck you, I'm going to make this happen. So, Justin, before we tell me a little bit about yourself, talk to me.
All right. I think for a quick recap, I'm a husband and father, 2 kids. I'm an entrepreneur. Came out to Los Angeles in 2001. And I think that's really where I began addressing the fear issue.
Yeah.
Like that was really the first time that I reflected upon like my life before. I don't think I really thought about anything. I was just progressing through life without thinking.
I think we all were. And I
Yeah.
think it's because we didn't have social media to compare anything to, right?
Yeah.
I think that was part of it because we didn't have, who were we comparing ourselves to? Nobody. So we were just kind of living life. And I do have an episode, I do talk a lot about when you do punch fear in the face, once you punch fear in the face, what is it that you want? Do you even know what you want? A lot of us don't even know what you want. And then I talk, the next step then is doing the next indicated action, whatever that looks like. Sometimes we don't know. So it sounds like that's what you did. You were, both of us sort of in that time, in that day and age, we just kind of did the next indicated action. Yeah. We didn't really have a plan and things fell into it in each other, But you said something the other day that reminded me of me when you said that, tell me about college, about how did you drop out?
No, I got kicked out.
Oh.
I grew up, I was born in Chicago, then did high school on the East Coast, south of Philadelphia in a town called Lancaster. And there's like a city part of Lancaster, and then there's like a country part of Lancaster, which is like known for Amish people. I look back and I think I had a great childhood, but I also, upon reflection, like didn't fit in anywhere. I was a bit of a jock and a bit of a punk rocker and a bit of a skateboarder, and I was always choosing like one personality type. And
we're so much alike. I was the same way.
I look back and like you remember the Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Like there every archetype of whatever. There were only like 5 personalities you could choose from. Like you could be the jock, you could be the rebel, you could be the nerd, you could be the hot girl, you could be the outsider. Like, but there weren't really a lot of other options. I look at my kids now and there's so many options that they kind of get lost into like choosing one thing, like they just can be anything. And I'm envious of that. It's cool, but it creates its own new challenge. Anyway, I went to college and I decided to go to college away from all of my friends to the University of Iowa.
Okay.
So I'm at the University of Iowa and I remember.
Is that how you got so big, all that corn?
Yeah,
corn? Okay, go ahead.
That's right. And I think that's where the fear really like kicked in overdrive, because I realized none of the archetypes or things that I had chosen really suited who I was, and I didn't know where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I chose engineering because it sounded really good. My family has successful doctors and lawyers and judges and, just very successful people. And I was like, man, I don't really feel like that. That school was difficult for me. I had a very hard time. I matured late. It was hard for me to like sit down in a class, understand like how this helped me. I think And at that time, it was like, dude, just figure it out. And I couldn't. So anyway, I ended up graduating, and then I moved to LA.
But tell me about the thing your mother said. I'm sorry, this is important because my father said very similar things to me.
Well, I think I got kicked out of school, and the one thing if my mom sees this, Mom, I love you, but I remember her saying that I was a loser, and that really kind of affected me. Maybe it turned me around. I don't know.
Right. I want to get to that.
But it definitely hurt me in a way where I was like, all right, dude, I don't want to be that.
That's right.
That's the one thing I'll tell you, I never thought that I was that ever before that statement. And in fact, I thought it was kind of the opposite.
Maybe she needed to bring you down a few notches. Because my father brought me down a few notches too. But it hurt me to the core too. Yeah. He told me things like and I've said this before in this podcast, that I had no talent and things like that. Right? You're like, it's bad. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because I think when our parents said those things, they didn't mean to. We love our parents. Yeah. We forgive them completely. Yeah. I said things that messed up my kids too. They've been in therapy. I've been paying the price in the form of therapy for that. But so they said these things, and we now what's interesting is it gave us a scrappiness, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure.
For sure. I talk about the scrappiness. Yeah. Now let's talk about the difference. Now you have 2 kids. Now your son is how old now?
15.
He's an amazing kid, by the way. So
15 and 12.
And the difference, we don't tell our kids that they're losers and don't have anything. We tell our kids, you can have everything and anything you want. And so now they're full of fear and entitlement, and they don't have that scrappiness we have because we told them they could do anything in the world, and they're waiting for it to happen. And I worry about that. I mean, how do you see the cycle broken between how you were raised and you and your kids?
I think that's really the most interesting question, Shanon, is because I don't use language like that, and I don't, at the same time, I think all the feels and all the challenges are exactly the same. I think everyone's trying to find their place in the world, and everyone's trying to find a place that they excel and get to use their gifts and talents, and also that buy them the space and time to work on the things that are their challenges. Right. And that's success to me. Success to me is, are you challenging the gifts and talents that you've been given to the fullest of their ability to create that bubble to work on the things that are hard for you or are challenging for you with that consciousness? Do you, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're at the top, you have the space to worry about not just surviving
things, right? About your life's path and purpose, about your soul's fulfillment and all that stuff, instead of just surviving, and I get that.
I think the biggest thing for me, that I talked to my son very clearly about, was that I remember moving to LA, and what I remember about that first 2 years was I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared. I didn't know how I was gonna, I was making $34,000 a year or something, and then I got hired at ADP, which is the worst sales job ever for what I thought I wanted to do, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right, I love that. You take the next indicated action, and then something bigger comes from it. That's what I tell my kids: don't worry so much, just take the next indicated action.
Yeah.
So, but you faced your fears when you came to LA, and you did it.
I did it, and I think that one of the strengths that I have is you make decisions, and you make decisions fast. You can't worry too much about which way you're going.
I agree.
Make a decision. Don't worry too much about it.
They all could be good. So as a designer, when I'm doing a house for someone, they're like, do I want, single hung or glider or casement or on? These are kind of windows. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're all good. Just pick one. Yeah. Right. So I get that. That. So one of the reasons I wanted to interview today, because I've watched you in the last year really punch fear in the face. And what I've watched you do is what I'm trying to advocate here. You've gone into flow. And what I mean by that is you're a hard worker. You do very well. You're successful. But then you get your money and you spend it immediately. No, I love that. Jeez. I know. You didn't see this coming, did you?
Yeah.
Because you have faith that you're going to get more. So Justin and I both have property up in Tehachapi, California, and he's, and we just love it out here. And but there's nothing out here. There's no water, there's no electricity, there's no fencing, there's no roads, there's nothing. Yeah. So we are building from the ground up, and it's a very challenging kind of a thing. But I love watching you be passionate about it and go for it. No, you punched fear in the face and you're going for it.
Well, you're only given, I mean, one of the things that I do firmly believe is, you only get one spin, right? Yeah. There's only so many heartbeats you got and so many cycles around the sun. And I've done the city thing, I think the first thing that allows me to address this fear thing is that I learned that I can earn.
Yeah. There you go.
I have
experience. You learn that you're going to be okay no matter what, right?
Yeah,
right.
I know that I have the skill set to make money, and
even if you have to work at Home Depot, right? It'll be fine. I think that'd be a great place to work, by the way. No, you get all that discounted stuff, especially when you live out here. We need that, or Tractor Supply would be good too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once and whatever it is, and what I told my son and my daughter is that one day things just kind of will click for you if you're listening and paying attention, and it lessens that fear and it increases your confidence. But I'll tell you, we live in Los Angeles and it's a super expensive place to live.
And our kids are stressed out about it already.
And I see it. I mean, everybody, the quality of life, I think our biggest challenge in the modern age is that the quality of life that we have is vastly reduced from the quality of life that we were raised in.
Yeah.
Comfort, security, just simplicity.
Well, yeah, I do agree that is different. But then again, don't take my online banking away from me now.
No, for sure.
I mean, that saves me so much time and effort. Remember we used to go to the bank to deposit checks. Now we just take a picture. Yeah. So, yes and no. I do think that our kids are worried, are more fearful. Whereas we were just, our parents said, go to school. When you're 18, you're out, get a job. Yeah. Well, and now they have the more pressure, even pressure to be self-fulfilled and to find your purpose. And I just want them to slow down, and just because I do think that when you tap into what truly lights you up, that it flows naturally. It just flows. Like this property lights you up, so you're not fearful about spending anything and everything and all your effort, because and in faith. And I love that, and I've admired watching you do that.
I've always been the one thing when I look back, I've always been I would rather risk everything to have something that's meaningful to me, and I'd then be secure and not ever taste like that real passionate project or that thing that I've been lucky. Like in high school, my friends, we put on shows and concerts, and that fired me up. That was really cool. Skateboarding with my friends really fired me up, and it was like a passionate thing. Like I look back,
you need to follow your passions, because if you follow your passions and it'll fall into place. I promise you. That's really what this is about. Forget fear, punch fear in the face, follow your passions. And it should fall into place that way. That's really what I want people to do. And I've loved watching you do that, and I admire it and respect it. Because money is an energy exchange, and it comes and goes. It's like a Deepak Chopra used to say, money's like a conduit. It needs to flow through you. And fear blocks that. Yeah. Fear blocks that flow. And so what I've enjoyed watching you is just punching fear in the face and going for it. I admire that very much. So I wanted to have you on to talk about that.
Well, I think that's what no one tells you about when you're doing this off-grid living stuff.
Yeah.
And I've watched, I'm very lucky to have you guys as neighbors and to have an example. But no one tells you that you go buy a piece of property and you go and dig a well and it's $75,000.
How do you find that?
And then no one tells you that, by the way, when you dig the well, you just have a pipe that picks up like this, and you need two 5,000-gallon tanks. It's another 10 grand. And then you just have tanks and there's no water in them. I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. But once you're done, I mean,
we've created something.
Paradise.
Yeah. And to create paradise. And this is where this podcast is going to, learning how to create heaven here on earth. And I think that in order to do that, you really do need to punch fear in the face, because there's nothing to fear. Like I always talk about, the worst thing that could happen, you die.
Right.
And guess what? Dying's great. You go home.
Yeah.
It's heaven.
And you're not going to really think about any of this stuff.
You'll be dead. Yeah. You'll be dead. So I won't care. I don't care. This has been so much fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining me
Sure.
today.
Thanks for having me.
I love hearing these stories and how you punch fear in the face and how you've come and it's the difference in how we're raising our kids now.
Yeah.
You know, there's more to be talk about that, about
sure.
the difference in the generations and what we have in the future. Anyway, thank you again. I so appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And until next time, everybody, remember, punch fear in the face. All right. Namaste.